Finally, the fall vibes are here. We can concentrate on knitting our squishy, woolly sweaters. But Nadya, it's literally 30 degrees outside. We're in the middle of an August heat wave. No, I have to agree. This time around, the weather outside doesn't let us autumnal babes dive headfirst into the warm knits pool. But it doesn't mean we can't dream and plan ahead on all the goodies we want to make in the upcoming colder months. And who knows their customers better than Laine Publishing, that is releasing their autumn issue of Laine Magazine in August. Last week they started selling pre-orders and I immediately bought it, which might look spontaneous and not wise, but I actually have very quickly weighted all pros and cons of buying this issue before committing to spend my money on it. So today I want to share with you how exactly I decided whether the new issue of Laine Magazine was worth it or not for me to buy. Now, a huge disclaimer. I will only be sharing my personal opinion and takes. There are no objectively good or bad patterns. So all the ratings I'm going to give are based on my own values and my own experience, which I will try to describe as fully as possible. And the most important, whether I think it's worth it or not worth it for me should not affect your opinion. Always choose to follow your own conscience and your own decisions without relying and blindly trusting people on the internet. And now with that all out of the way, let's get into it. Or rather, let me go change in something that I will not be sweating in for an hour of recording. And also we have a hair reveal to do because apparently now I'm a pixie girl. Yes, now I look somewhere in between a 15-year-old punk who's trying to steal a cigarette from an old man on the street and Karen who goes into the shop trying to ask for a manager. But I'm so happy with my new hair, especially since there is a heat wave coming, so. Oh, and also I forgot to tell you that my name is Nadya. I'm the face behind the Lemony channel where we discuss all things knitting every Thursday. Now we can dive right into it. Also, you can now see how fake social media is because I showed you a cup with pumpkins on it, but in reality I'm drinking from a lemon cup, so do not trust people on the internet. Let's start with a quick recap of what Laine Magazine actually is. Laine is a publishing company based in Finland and their printing service is based in Estonia, if I'm not mistaken. And they primarily focus on publishing fiber arts related books and magazines that consist of different patterns from designers they collaborate with. So when your favorite designer announces that they are coming out with a book, with more specifically knitting pattern book, there is a very high chance that it is being published by Laine. However, they're not just like printing service for pattern designers to go and print their book set. They're basically balancing the artistic vision that the author has with a lot of high requirements, like very top-notch requirements for quality of patterns they're gonna be releasing. So for example, I never worry about size inclusivity in their patterns or those patterns not being properly tech edited. And other than books, they also publish their own knitting magazine called Laine Magazine. It is more of a knitting and lifestyle magazine that also features some authors' interviews and their thoughts on the knitting culture, maybe something about their life and their process of becoming a designer. For example, I remember last year there was an interview with Anna Wetzel from Denmark, and that was a very beautiful interview with a lot of gorgeous photos in it. This magazine comes in 4 issues a year, one for every season, and features a lot of designers from large household names like Sari Nordlund to smaller designers like, for example, the headliner of this issue, Megan Horton from Pearl by Ray. The magazine can be bought either as digital download or as physical copy. And you can either get like one specific issue or you can get a yearly subscription that will give you all 4 seasonal magazines sent to you either in digital or printed form to your postbox. The price of one issue usually is around 25 euros or around 29 USD for the printed version. And with the subscription model, lowering this price per issue by 20%. However, they are lowering the prices of their older issues, and they also have a lot of sales going throughout the year where you can buy those older magazines for much cheaper. For example, they were running a sale just right now, and I got the issue from last year's winter collection for just 16 euros / 18-ish dollars. Also, the downloadable versions of their magazines are a little bit cheaper than the printed out version, and you also obviously don't pay for shipping. Shipping is actually a very interesting portion of this talk right now because Laine is located in Finland, which is EU. And I'm not sure if you've heard about it or not, but EU has just passed a law that will require anybody who sells products online and wants to ship them across Europe to register in every country they want to ship to for their registry of basically like packaging, ecological tree that makes sure that they're not like abusing ecology with their packaging and are also handling recycling of their packaging themselves. And it is very pricey to register in every single country. And it's a very long process. So a lot of smaller businesses right now are stopping their shipping into EU countries. So I also predict that Laine is gonna stop for some time shipping their books to individual customers in EU countries. And that is an important thing because business to business is not affected by it. So if your local yarn store will buy books or magazines from Laine, this whole thing does not apply to this. So you will be able to shop locally for the books, and you can always ask your local yarn store to order some books for you from Laine. But it's still annoying. So if you think this is hilarious and stupid and only ruins small businesses, you can sign a petition to stop this law and make changes to it so that it doesn't affect small businesses. And I will link to the petition in the description. Now that we established what exactly we're talking about, let's quickly go through the basics of how I decide whether the magazine is worth it or not for me to buy. I start with calculating the overall amount of patterns inside the issue and then dividing the whole price of the magazine by the amount of patterns. So I get kind of like my own price per pattern metric. After that, I go through the list of patterns one by one, usually on Ravelry, because Laine posts all of their books and magazines patterns as patterns on Ravelry, and you can check the descriptions of each of them and photos and also test as projects. I review those and give each of the patterns one of 3 ratings: would knit, useful, or just no. Would knit is for patterns that I would actually consider adding into my queue and knitting them at some point in the future. So their worth for me is actually knitting them. Useful is for patterns that I'm not particularly planning to knit, but they have some interesting technique, interesting color work chart, or maybe construction I don't know how to do. Like, I wouldn't knit this pattern, but I will be happy to learn the new thing from this pattern. So the worth of it is learning experience. The just no category is, well, just no. After I've reviewed every pattern, I sum up the amount of would knit or useful patterns and multiply it by my calculated earlier price per pattern. And the last step is that I divide this final price of the magazine, like the useful price of the magazine, by the average price per pattern on Ravelry, which I usually go of like 10 euros maybe. And this will show how many individual patterns I would have been able to buy for the price of this magazine. Because Laine, after some time passes after the issue is released, lets designers release those patterns as individual patterns on Ravelry. So you would be able to buy them without buying the whole issue. And that's it. After all these steps, I have enough data to calculate whether this issue is worth it for me to buy or not. Easy, right? And as usual with knitting, it comes with math. Now with all of this out of the picture, let's dive into the 30th issue of Laine Magazine. Autumn edition. It features 15 knitting patterns, 8 sweaters, 2 cardigans, 2 sleepovers / vests, 2 shawls and 1 hat. I got the digital pre-order, so my price was 22 euros or roughly 25 USD, which leaves me with a price of 1.5 euros per pattern or 1.7 USD. Not bad, right? And now let's see what exactly we're getting for this price. I will be going through the list of Laine patterns listed in the issue's description on Ravelry, and I will add the link to this bundle of patterns in the description so you can check them out for yourself. Let's start with the very first one on the list. Bothan by Nadya. I did not expect to butcher anything in this episode, but butchering names Nadya is back. I'm so sorry. There are a lot of Finnish names there, so I'm so sorry. Is a cardigan inspired by Scottish stone dwelling. Designer describes it as a soft textured knitting and relaxed oversized fit that drapes effortlessly for an easy timeless feel. Now I won't go through sizes and description of bust circumferences as I usually do in pattern roundups, because I am very sure that in Laine Magazine patterns are size inclusive, and all the patterns I saw before, they also are like properly size inclusive. So the positive is for the larger sizes is included in the pattern. So it won't be like up to 60 inches of bust, but also is supposed to be worn with like 10 inches of positive is. Not the case here. Now, it is a DK weight pattern with the yarn used in the sample being Pasquale Sayama, which is 50% wool and 50% llama. That sounds very squishy and soft. Designer also suggests alternative yarns such as Color Lab Decay by West Yorkshire Spinners, Pura Lana by Gepard Gun, or Laine X Navita DK by Navita. Quite an expensive range of yarns, I must say. I remember I checked the Navita yarn collaboration with Laine, and I really wanted to buy it because it's a very nice blend of different sheep breeds, but it was like 26 euros for a hank, so not exactly my price range. Cardigan is worked from the top down. It features European shoulder and modified drop shoulder construction. There's a textured stitch pattern that looks like a combination of knits, pearls, and something that looks like slip stitches maybe, or maybe it's just like dragging your yarn over the stitches instead. Not sure how exactly it's done, but definitely interesting. There's a double knitted button band for this cardigan, which is good. There's less chances of it stretching out in the button band. The sleeves are tapered and are worked in the round. Thank you very much. The amount of fires we had this year is insane. I blame the heat waves. No, I blame people that cause heat waves. Anyway, my favorite feature based on the photos of this cardigan is the small detail on the back. So right after the shoulders in the back, there is a horizontal stockinette line running to the drop shoulder and then continuing into the sleeve. And I think that makes this cardigan look very chic from the back. And it also removes some of the bulkiness that cardigans with the drop shoulder construction usually have. So it does look like a very nice layering piece. I'm not the biggest fan of the lower part of the cardigan where there's like it's not even a ribbing, is it? It's like, oh, it is. It's 2x2 rib. And I'm not the biggest fan of how long it is. So if I was knitting it, I would probably make this portion shorter and then continue. Before that, I would just continue knitting in the stitch pattern that was before. And another modification I would do is probably, also changing the ribbing on the sleeves. Not the look I like. There are currently 14 testers projects on Ravelry. There are a lot of different body types, which is nice. And judging by the photos, I can tell that it looks cute both on bigger bodies and smaller bodies. There is a lady with extra small size that also looks amazing in this cardigan, which is also awesome because with V-necks, it's not always the case where it looks cute on smaller bodies. So designer and whoever graded the pattern did a great job. And my favorite part is that the yoke of this drop shoulder sweater looks good. It's not too deep. doesn't look too oversized. It looks like a very basic classic knit for autumn. Now, what rating am I gonna give it? It's actually getting a double green rating from me. It gets both wood knit and also useful. Wood knit is because I obviously wood knit it, and the useful part comes from me being interested in the texture on the cardigan itself, because I really want to know how she did those horizontal lines of yarn. I have an idea of how it would be done, but I would prefer to know the exact instructions to use in future projects. Next on our list, we have Break the Pattern by Suvi Alavena. This one is cute. It's a sleepover vest. Designer wanted to share her experience of what it's like to live with a demanding mindset and obsessive thinking. So this sleepover is designed to be an effortless project knitted in an unhurried pace while listening to your own process. Something we all could benefit from. And I can definitely see this vision come into life in this vest, because you can see that while there are a lot of different patterns on this vest, so you have like horizontal sections of different style of patterns, you can see that the repeats are gonna be very easy to remember and recognize. So it's not gonna be exactly like a project where you would need to think about the pattern a lot. You will be able to follow your knitting, and then when you change to the next section, then you will have to kind of like consult the pattern to know what next you're knitting there. The yarn used in the pattern is DK weight, and it also uses Navita Laine x Navita DK. I can feel my bank account crying. But there's also another suggestion from the designer, being Tukuwool DK, Fiesta by Drops, or Double Sunday by Sun is Gone. Fiesta by Drops is quite a nice yarn to use, especially for its price. So very nice that this designer actually gave us an actual affordable yarn in the description of the pattern. It's worked from top down. It also uses European shoulder construction. First you shape the back, neck, shoulders and knit until the underarms. Then you switch to picking up stitches on the front and knitting first this part and this part. They're joined and you knit until the armholes. Then everything is joined and knit in the round. It has the split hem at the bottom and just like ribbed borders around the armholes. I'm forgetting English. Jeez. There's also ribbed collar featured, but it's also like the one you pick up in the end. So a lot of picking up stitches. There are no current projects on Ravelry. I'm not sure what happened there. But luckily enough, designer also added the required measurements, not only of like bust circumference, but also of armhole circumference and yoke length from shoulder to underarm. So you will be able to kind of understand the fit better from those measurements without actually seeing testers pictures for your size. I think it is hella cute vest. I wouldn't say that this one is useful per se for me, but it is definitely a wood knit, and I also am thinking about knitting it, to be honest. It is so cute. And I really like the sentiment behind this pattern, because the whole idea of not rushing to knit something and just like giving yourself time and treating knitting more like just like a relaxing process is something I really want to acquire someday. Because for now, since I am a relatively new knitter, it's only my second year of knitting, I am so obsessed with it that I am kind of running myself into ground with knitting everything, because I want to knit everything all of the time. I don't have a big knitted wardrobe yet, so I want to make this, this, and this, and this is missing, and this is missing, and this is missing. I want everything. So from me, this gets a wood knit. Now the star of this issue is Hestia by Pearl by Ray, and this is the sweater you can see on the cover of the magazine. This is actually the reason why I was waiting for this issue like crazy, because first of all, I absolutely love patterns by Pearl by Ray. I think she pays a lot of attention to details, and also her writing style is very up my alley. So I was very excited when I found out she's going to be featured in Laine Magazine. That's a huge step for any designer to be accepted to be in an issue. And also it takes a long time to get your pattern actually published. So I assume she had her test knits and design last year in order for it to be finished and published this year. So I'm so proud of her. I know it's a parasocial thing to say, but I've been following her for a long time and I'm really proud of her. And Hestia is just a piece of art. It's a dropped shoulder colorwork sweater. It has an oversized and very cozy fit, and it is like literally a dream autumnal sweater. It is the most cozy thing you can knit for yourself. Megan was inspired by a Greek goddess Hestia and her symbolism of warmth, heart and family, evoking a feeling of nostalgic coziness for the coming cold seasons. There are two options of necks in the pattern. There's a turtleneck or short folded neckband, and there are two options for the sleeves as well. You can make them tapered or straight. It is also made on DK gauge using Sondayan's Sunday Morning DK, with another suggestions from the designer being Double Sunday by Senna's Gun, Penila by Ficolana, Drops Merino Extra Fine by Drops, or Jensen by Sea. So once again, designer gives us a cheap alternative being Drops Merino Extra Fine, which is amazing because not all of us can afford Jensen by Sea. But I must say that Penila by Ficolana is also a very soft and nice yarn, so I probably am gonna need the sweater, so I think I'd go for this one. The sweater is worked from top down with colorwork sections on the back and on the top front, only worked flat. Not the perfect scenario, but I can see why it is so. But you basically separately work the back and front panel, then you join them under the arms, and then you knit in the round until the end of the body. Then you pick up stitches for the sleeves and for the collar and everything. It has a very cute oversized fit, and I kind of feel it's also a great pattern to experiment with color combinations, because the original is made in like very classic autumn colors, but I think when I'm gonna knit it in also brown, like this deep chocolate brown, but instead of white I would go for light blue or something like that. There are not a lot of testers projects yet on Ravelry because I think they're still uploading them, and the ones I can see here are only in smaller sizes, but they do look cute, I must say. They all went for like basic colors, so gray and dark gray, which is understandable, but wouldn't be my choice. And as you can guess from everything I just told you, this pattern gets a wood knit from me. Not bad. Out of 3 patterns, all 3 were wood knit. Let's see if the trend is gonna continue. Next on the list is Huurre by Anina Yuti. It's a cable vest that is clearly designed for layering. There are cables with panels of slipped stitch rib. There's a mock turtleneck at the top. There are button closures on the side of the vest. It does look something perfect to layer on top of either like a turtleneck blouse or maybe just a blouse. I can definitely see it being just like a staple in your wardrobe. So it's not exactly like an exciting knit, but definitely one you would want to have in your wardrobe just for layering purposes. Yarn used is actually worsted, our first worsted yarn on the list, being Dererum Natura Gilead. Okay, I have a proposal. Every time I don't know how to pronounce a word from another language, I will read it with a Russian accent. So it's gonna be Gilead. Dererum Natura Gilead. And alternative yarn suggestions are Cascade to 20, Peer Gyun by Senna's Gun, and Drops Nepal by Drops. So I'm so happy that only one designer so far did not give us any actual affordable alternatives. So thank you, other designers. The vest is worked flat from top down. You knit back, then you knit one front, second front, join them and knit until the end, and then join everything with button bands. I am going to give this design a wood knit with a distinction of me wanting to change the collar, because I do not like how the smock neck looks on this vest in particular. So if I'm gonna knit it, I'm gonna switch it to a proper turtleneck, and then it's gonna look absolutely stunning. There are 14 projects right now on Ravelry. Multiple sizes are being shown. Looks good in different colors and different yarns. I can see that most of people go for like DK-ish, worsted-ish merinos from different brands. And there's a variety of colors, so you can definitely take a good look on how it's gonna look like. Next, we have Ihana by Megumi Shinagawa. It's a long-sleeved cardigan with the folded collar, with this like ich here. Designer says that it can be worn as a short with a smaller ease or as a layering jacket with a bigger ease, depending on the yarn you choose. It is made in DK weight yarn Isea boucle, and the yarn suggestions are Merino boucle by Le Bien-Aimé or 2 strands of Berenice by De Rum Natura. So this time, once again, we don't have any alternatives that are budget friendly. If you ask me, Drops has some very nice alpaca boucle that is not pricey and is gonna look cute. So that's a suggestion from me, but you will need to play with the gauge a little bit because as far as I remember, it does feel different from Isea's boucle. There are 19 projects on Ravelry right now showcasing this blouse, jacket, cardigan in different colors, different bodies. I don't see any big sizes there, but I can very certainly say that it's not gonna be a good fit for me. First of all, it's raglan yoke, and I'm not the biggest fan of raglans. Second of all, the way the collar is constructed looks a bit flimsy, so even if you call it a jacket, it doesn't look sturdy as a jacket. You will need to use like a very different yarn in order to make it like not a flippity floppity collar, but like sturdier version. But if you change the yarn for something that is not boucle, it loses the whole like fun texture of the cardigan, if you know what I mean. And then it just becomes like a very basic stockinette cardigan. So I would not knit it. And also I don't see any like interesting things in this cardigan for me that I would like to like learn about or explore. So unfortunately for me, this is the first pattern that is a just no, but I can see how a lot of people would like it. It does look cute on the model and on the smaller boobas girlies in the project, so I can see it working for some people. I just know it's not gonna work for me. Next we have Lazybones by Heli Hotinen Puko. It's a straight silhouette sweater with wholly lacy pattern all around it. It looks very lightweight. I'm not sure what yarn they use yet, but it looks very lightweight. Okay, the fabric is worked with 3 strands held together, 1 strand of fingering weight yarn and 2 strands of airy silk mohair, creating a pillowy, ethereal fabric. That I can agree on. And the yarn used in the sample is Navita Laine X Navita 4-ply and Navita Edith. Alternative suggestions are either to use 1 strand of DK weight yarn together with 1 strand of any lace weight, or 1 strand of fingering with 2 strands of lace weight. And the yarns that are recommended are 1 strand of Wilhelmi fingering by Vu Arrete by Filkalana or Sunday by Sannes Garn for yarn 1, and they need to be held together with 2 strands of either Filkalana Tilea or Isea silk mohair. Filkalana is relatively affordable yarn, so props on that. Sweater is worked seamlessly from the top down. You work the back until the underarms, you pick up stitches, you work the front, join it around and work the body until the rib. The rib used in the pattern is half twisted rib, which I really like the look of. And there are 13 projects on Ravelry right now showcasing different sizes and different colors. I absolutely love how it looks like on bigger sized bodies, and everybody looks hella cute. I can't lie, I'm very intrigued with this pattern because it can solve a problem of me always being overheated in something that has mohair in it. And in this case, because of all the lacy details, I kind of feel like I will have enough ventilation, but also enough warmth. So I would definitely need that. Approved. Now we have Limina by Ines Aseng. First of all, when I saw this shawl, I thought it was an immediate hella, because I thought it was just a stripy triangular shawl, and I was like, really, again. But then I looked closer and I realized that there's actually a lot of texture going on to the shawl. You can see that every section has actual like small cables in them while also having stripes. So it's actually very intricate work, which is something I did not expect to see after seeing like the main photo. So it is literally the details that kind of flower through the base design, which is really cool. It's made in fingering plus lace yarns held together. The original yarns are from Pichet Push, which are hell expensive, but there are alternative yarn suggestions, such as Drops Kid Silk, held together with Highland by Sayer. Interesting combo. Soft Silk Mohair by Knitting for Olive with Merino by Knitting for Olive, or Plum by Raumagan with Super Soft by Hostgarn. Now, if you ask me, if you are going to buy Super Soft by Hostgarn, you might as well get their lace yarn. I think it is Lucia, to hold with it without getting more hair. It's gonna be even softer because it's alpaca and yak, if I'm not mistaken. So, just a thought. Now, I am not sure if I would knit it or not, just because I'm not the biggest shawl knitting girly. I have a shawl on my needles right now. I've been working on it for a few months and I will probably work on it for like a year more. So it's not exactly the project that I will be casting on, like running to cast on immediately. But it is indeed a useful project for me, and I will explain to you why. Not only do I really like how the cables look like and I want to check how they're made, I am actually more interested in how the increases for the shawl are worked. Because one thing is when you make increases in the pattern where they're like, I don't know, color work, or the texture is like easily paced, like for example, you have like bumps every 5 rows. But here the cables are every few rows. So I would really want to see where they make the increases and how they handle them to make it look so uninterrupted. So this one gets a useful from me. Now we have a design by the West Strand sisters called Ljung. It's a sweater with a textured pattern that also has color work in it. It is a straight round yoke construction with German short rows at the back, thank God, with some solid ribs here, there, on the arm, on the cuffs and on the bottom. The yarn used is iron weight. It is Jelholz Ullspinnerei Hornwax which is pricey but also a surprisingly nice yarn. Like it's one of the yarns I dream of trying because they are local to me actually. And the interesting part is why I haven't tried them yet. I want to go to the mill and kind of like experience their mill and then get some yarn. That's just like my dream for the future, okay? There are 10 projects on Ravelry right now. There are different sizes, very interesting color combinations. My favorite is the lady who made it in dark brown as the main color and light beige as the contrast color. It looks hella cute and kind of looks like a cinnamon bun, if you ask me. Now, I am not sure if I would knit it because it's a round yoke and you know I don't really wear round yokes. I might want to knit it and add shoulder pads to change the fit because I heard it helps if round yokes don't look nice on you. But this one is questionable. But what I can say is it does get useful from me because I'm very interested in the texture. The whole texture combined with color work looks very interesting and I really want to know how it's made. Now we have Menamu by Natasha Tuloch. It's a relaxed fit raglan pullover with some fun stitch pattern and some color work. And I really like the story behind this design because Natasha Tuloch first used this stitch pattern to create a blanket for her children. And then she wanted to create the cozy vibe it gave to her and her kids in a garment. So that's very sweet if you ask me. The yarn used for the sample is DK weight and it is Navita Laine x Navita DK. I think I've seen this yarn before and I didn't like the pricing. But alternative yarn suggestions are Fleece Blueface Leicester DK by West Yorkshire Spinners, Ultra Wool Decay by Barocco or Merino Decay by Cascade Yarns. If you ask me, I would still go to Penila by Ficalana and use it, especially since they have a lot of colors. As usually worked as a raglan from top down with short rows. Nothing super exciting. So from the learning point of view, I wouldn't find it useful. However, it does look cute, and I think, even though I don't like raglans per se, judging by the projects on Ravelry, I think it might be a sweater I want to knit. So I think I'm gonna give it a wood knit. Also, it looks like a very cozy sweater, and you know me and cozy sweaters. Now we have a pattern that I absolutely hate how it looks like, but I think it's useful, which is a very controversial thing to say. It's Niti by Veta Romanenkova, and it is inspired by her love for geometry and clean lines in knitting. She was curious whether it was possible to free the cables from their classic symmetry and give them a different independent rhythm. And you can see that on the body. Basically, it's not your like symmetrical cable design where everything is like repeats itself. They are chaotic cables that go in different directions, creating a very unique kind of pattern on the front and back. It's a dropped shoulder pattern with turtleneck collar and quite a deep ribbing, and they call it a cozy cocoon. It's made in bulky weight yarn, and they use Woolfolk Luft, and basically all the yarn suggestions are random blown yarns such as Sniefnack by Camerose, Wanderfluff by Knitpicks, Puno by Gepard Garn, or Gig by Daruma, or Cos by Sandnes Garn. So the obvious suggestion would be using Drops Air, but I would never suggest using Drops Air to, like, even to my enemies, I wouldn't. You know me, I hate Drops Air with my life. Now this sweater is worked from the bottom up, which is already not a fun thing for me. I don't like knitting bottom up at all. But there are German short rows to shape everything, so the fit is supposed to be quite nice. Now, there are 10 projects on Ravelry, and it's one of the cases where projects on Ravelry are actually looking better than the designer's sample. I know it's not a good thing to say. I'm a meanie, but I really don't like how designer's sample looks like. I'm sorry. I can't say anything. It does not look clean lines to me. It looks very wibbly wobbly. So I would not knit it, not because I don't like the sample. I would not knit it because I would not. I'm sorry. I'm a plus size girly. I'm never knitting a bottom up sweater because the amount of stitches you need to cast on, ain't nobody got time for that. Especially with a long tail cast on. No, just no. But what I will say is that, first of all, I do find it useful because I really like the idea of freeing the cables from the like usual patterns that we're used to. So I would definitely want to see how she did the whole traveling cable thing. And also, I really want to see how it was graded because as a tech editor, I have never actually edited patterns with cables. So I don't have a lot of experience in it, and anything that can help me learn about it is useful to me. Now we have Oat by Amy Baldwin. It's a crew neck sweater with a slightly cropped fit satin sleeves and basket weave texture. Made in worsted weight yarn and featuring Wandering Flock fluff. The yarn suggestions are Concept Cotton Merino by Katja and Sniefnack by Camerose. I would go for Concept Cotton Merino by Katja. It's an amazing yarn. I would also maybe do something like holding Post Coast double or triple for it. It is a very classic sweater. It is your classic crew neck with a very like known basket weave texture, so it's not unique from any point of view, but does have a very nice fit, and judging by 10 projects on Ravelry, it has a nice fit in all the sizes. So I can see it being useful for someone who doesn't have experience knitting this texture in particular. I wouldn't find it useful per se for me, but I would definitely knit it. I'm pretty sure you can find something similar from free patterns, like from drops. But since I don't particularly like following drops patterns, I would say this pattern still gets a wood knit from me. Now we have a very fun scarf called Offbeat by, yeah, you know what, I'm not reading this one, I'm sorry. This is, okay, I'm reading it with Russian accent. Yigitkan Pufido. Made with DK weight yarn from John Arbon Textiles, called Appledore. It translates rhythm, repetition, and displacement into fabric. It's inspired by music as well as simple checkerboard patterns and color blocking artworks. And it's a brioche scarf. Comes in 2 sizes, and alternative yarn suggestions are double knitting by Jamieson's of Shetland, Morag Decay by the Wee Yarn Company, Decay by Tukuwool, Revival Decay by Plies and Hellhounds Yarn, or Drops Soft Tweed by Gun Studio Drops. Nice variety of yarns to choose from, and also I like that they have yarns for every region where you shop, because for example, some yarns are not available in UK, some yarns are not available in US, some are not available in EU. In this case, you have options for wherever you are from. Nice! I really like the look of this scarf. It's fun, it is unique, it has a lot of potential on colors to experiment with, and also because of brioche, it creates a very thick fabric that is definitely gonna be warm. So this is an absolute wood knit from me, and I absolutely love the samples of the testers that they made. This is, in my opinion, one of the most fun patterns in the magazine, in this issue of magazine, so definitely wood knit. Now we have a hat called Shape of Water by Sarah Otterson. It's a beanie, a classic ribbed beanie, worked bottom up in the round with a wavy twist on the crown, worked with the decreases and increases. There are 3 sizes featured in the pattern. It's made from DK plus DK weight yarns. So in this case, they use Isaiah Jensen with Isaiah Bouclé. And the alternative yarn suggestions are Loch Lomond by Bisigan, or Brusca by Red Rosaria Rosa Pomar, and Alpaca Bouclé by Kremke Soul Wool for contrast color. Now, I do not want to be mean, but when I saw the pictures of this hat, it looked like if they were knitting the Pearl Soho's classic ribbed hat and accidentally made decreases at the wrong point, so the crown became too stretched out. I can see the idea behind design, like the whole flowing river kind of swirling. The idea is nice. Would I need it? No. And honestly, I don't think it's useful either, because you can literally get the free pattern from Pearl Soho and play around with the ribbing a little bit to recreate it. So for me, this one is a just no. And also there are no projects on Ravelry, so we can't even see how it looks in other yarns and not the fancy ones. So not a big fan of this one. However, the next one, Siipi by Anna Sirjanen, is an interesting one. It's a sweater with a relaxed fit, with both lace patterns, cables, and having both boat neck and drop shoulder construction. It's insane. I really like the idea behind the design itself. Let's start with the yarns. It is DK plus lace. They use Navita Laine x Navita DK plus Navita Edith. And yarn suggestions are Double Sunday with Tune Silk Mohair by Sun is Gone, Drops Lima held together with Drops Kid Silk by Gun Studio, or Pura Lana held together with Kid Setup by Gepard Gun. It's worked from the top down, it's worked flat until the underarms, then adjoined to knit in the round. The most fun thing is the fit and construction of the garment. So you have the boat neck until the shoulders. After that, you have a small drop shoulder section. Because of that, you have a very unique, squarish shape on top. So it is very interesting. Unfortunately, there are no projects on Ravelry right now, so I can't see how it looks on different sizes. I still think it's something unique. Now, I would absolutely not knit it for myself, because I know it's gonna look hella stupid on me. And if you know, I am a hater of boat necks. The only boat neck ever I liked is the Sunflower Top by Fioricini Knit that I'm making the second version of. So I'm definitely not the target audience for this pattern, but I think it is hella useful because the construction, I want to know. Like, I really want to know. So I deem it useful. And the last one is Worker by Maria Bach-Jensen. Made in Aran weight Rauma Fivel, it is a very oversized sweater knitted from bottom up with a graphic rib pattern on the front. It's inspired by men's workwear from back in the day, thus the worker name. And they say that you need to use a rustic wool for it to have the proper texture. The alternative yarn suggestions are Vida by Hillesvåg Ullvarefabrik, Håndverksgarn by Jelholz Ullspinneri, or Atlas by Sannes Garn. As a big fan of Atlas by Sannes Garn, I can say this is a very great idea to use it in any capacity. I love this yarn. I'm an ambassador of Atlas, and nobody can stop me from wearing it, no matter what they say. I really like all the details on this sweater, from the shape following down to the middle from the collar to the stripe you have on the split between your back and your front. Everything looks at the same time very rustic, but also very chic. So if there is a cozy sweater you would want to spend your evenings at home in, this would be it. If you don't want to do color work, because we still remember there was Hestia by Pearl by Ray before, this one is the option for those who don't like to make color work but prefer texture. This one is for you guys. I am obsessed with this sweater. It is hella cute. It doesn't have projects on Ravelry. I would really want to see some testers' photos, because I am very much leaning towards wood knit. The only thing stopping me, it is bottom up again. In this case, at least the design itself inspires me, so I kind of can overcome the dreadfulness of knitting bottom up and casting on a million stitches for my size. I'm still not sure about it. I kind of feel like if I actually decide to knit this design, I think I'm gonna reverse engineer it to be knit from top down. I will kind of base myself off the stitch counts the designer has, but kind of reverse the pattern to be knit the other way around, if you know what I mean. I think that's the only thing that would make me actually knit it. And in this case, I would say it's a wood knit from me. And that was the last one. So overall, we had 13 wood knit or useful patterns for me in this issue, making it 19.5 euros or 22.1 USD in my overall price recounted in like my pricing, which gives us around 2 individual patterns if I was buying them directly from designers on Ravelry. As you can see, there were much more wood knit patterns that I was really excited about in this issue than just 2 patterns. So overall, it's a ta-da! Worth it from me. Once again, I want to remind you that my opinion is not an official instance. So if you like any of these patterns, please go and knit them and get the magazine and enjoy it, because also it doesn't only have patterns, it also has some interviews, some fun ads inside. So there's always something you can find in the magazine other than patterns. So explore on your own and don't trust my opinion. But I'm very excited about this issue. I can't wait to actually see the issue myself. And I absolutely will be casting on Hestia the moment my color work, like, burnout is going out. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this episode was useful to you in some way or another. If you like this video, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, pressing the like button or maybe hyping up this video. Comment below if you think this issue looks promising and worth it or not for you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!